Every structure needs a great foundation, and so with humans, right? If they get the right foundation, then the future is always going to be bright. All businesses have their challenges. So ours is not a typical business. Safari Kit, we don't treat it as business. Our focus is on quality. Our focus is on creating spaces for children which are purpose designed. Creating an environment where the child is going to thrive, right from hiring the right kind of teachers, then training them, creating the systems, creating the processes around it. Most of the people who want to start their own school are women, exactly facing the same problem that I was facing about 10 years ago, right? That as a couple, they feel that they are expecting a little bit more with a preschool and they don't find that in their neighborhood. That's how they approach us. Our energies have to be at a certain level, right? At a certain positivity. And if we have happy managers of school, then we have happy teachers and we have happy nannies, right? And all the support staff. Indian population is growing about 1% every year, and with a population of 1.4 billion, the number of children that go to preschool is not that high. Let me put it that way. It's less than 50%. When we talk about preschool, it's a very small minority educated parents who understand the value of foundation years. They are sort of starting early, but there's still a huge population who feels it's okay. Child can start even at 6 years, and foundation years is not that important.
Subscribe to our channel to enjoy more such business podcasts and stories. Hit that like button and leave a comment to show some love. Our guest today is Mr. Jitendra Karsan, entrepreneur and chairman, Safari Kit India. Mr. Jitendra Karsan, an MBA from Jamnalal Bajaj Institute of Management in Mumbai, comes with almost 3 decades of entrepreneurial experience across various fields. Currently, he is responsible for expanding the Safari Kit brand in India, along with aligning their curriculum with Indian systems. Jitendra has introduced the concept of customized learning in early years by bringing the award-winning preschool Safari Kit to India. With a presence of more than 10 years in India, Safari Kit is making waves in early years sector with a presence in all major cities of India. The man behind the vision is an author and a bike enthusiast who takes on road expeditions across the country. Hello and welcome to Puck Studio. I'm your host, Hedra Raval. Today's episode is having a fantastic entrepreneur and a fantastic subject that we're going to cover. You know what's that subject? Early education sector, preschools, toddlers. Ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about the future of India. This entrepreneur is on a mission to build the future of India. Mr. Jitendra Karsan, edupreneur and a chairman of Safari Kit India. Welcome to Buck Studio, Mr. Karsan. How are you doing today?
Good.
That's wonderful. You're an ad man with tech industry exposure as well. So what brought you to early education sector?
See, the rightest way to say is, early years, right? That's the foundation years. Every structure needs a great foundation, and so with humans, right? If they get the right foundation, then the future is always going to be bright. But as I said, that's the rightest answer. Me and my wife both were in the advertising agency. She is a photographer, or was a photographer rather, and I was operating a mid-size ad agency. And when we were pregnant with our second child, that's when we realized that we need to bring more calm and balance into our lives, and not be like rushing like the mad admin.
Yeah.
So we decided, we were thinking, what should we do? And we sort of recollected that while my daughter was in preschool, and I'm not going to name the preschool, she went to one of the best preschool in South Bombay, and she had certain learning challenges, not dyslexia, bordering on dyslexia, but most children have some learning difficulty or the other, and they grow out of it. Especially when we are introducing alphabets and numbers, they tend to write it in mirror or reverse. And we thought it was very cute, right? My daughter's writing mirrored images, alphabets. But when she came in the first grade, that's when we realized that, if there was a early intervention and if somebody would have told us that this is actually a form of learning problem, we would have done something differently. And throughout her primary years, she had little bit difficulty coping up with reading and writing.
It was challenging for her.
Definitely challenging for her. But of course, they outgrow it, right? And we uh, that's when we started learning about early years and all that. And this is again when my wife was we had just delivered our second child, and we decided why not preschool industry. So this whole idea of a parent who was not satisfied with what was there in the market, and we said, why not get something or create something which is different, which a parent like us will want, right? So, and that's how we actually did our research, and we thought Safari Kid, which is a US based chain, and after studying a lot of other competitors in India and abroad, we thought Safari Kid was the best choice, at least for a parent like me. So I said, if not for the world, at least my son will go in the best preschool.
Yeah.
And that's how this idea of getting into the education sector was formed.
So they generally say that whenever you are facing a problem and when it is deep and personal is when you start to think as a businessman that how do I bridge the gap? And that's when your business happened.
Yeah, absolutely, right. If I'm solving a problem for myself, then I'm sure there are a lot of
Yes.
parents like me who are going through the same thing, and which is a testimony now. We are growing, touchwood, and a lot of parents appreciate what we are doing and the sort of quality that we brought in the early education sector.
So what is the story of Safari Kid?
So, firstly, Safari Kid is founded by an Indian immigrant, Miss Shai Mudakavi. She went to the US about 25 years back. And uh, she was a techie, and she had a luxury of getting a very cushy tech job, but she's extremely passionate about early years. And on one hand, there was I'm talking about 25 years back, 100K plus job. And on the other hand, minimum wages start as a teacher.
Decision to make.
And she decided that she wants to get into the early years. And I think that was the best decision, not only for her, but a lot of children. And we've educated more than 50 children worldwide, right? And I think it was a great decision, not only for her, but for all of us. So, yeah, she started about almost 19 years back. We have about 30 plus preschools in USA.
Okay.
And about 8 in Canada, and about 11 plus in India. I say 11 plus because few of them will just open in the next few months.
Oh, nice.
Right. So hopefully by the year end, we'll be more than 20.
So Safari Kid Global has started moving towards India, and you've been instrumental for Safari Kid India. So in this leading preschool chain of India, you must have come across early challenges that you faced, right? And how would you overcome them?
So, of course, challenges, I mean, all businesses have their challenges. So ours is not a typical business, right? I mean, there are many avenues in which a person can make money, but preschool sector is, at least at Safari Kid, we don't treat it as business, right? Our focus is on quality. Our focus is on creating spaces for children which are, purpose designed, creating an environment where the child is going to thrive. All their learning milestones would be met without them realizing that they are being pressurized into to school. And that in itself was a challenge, right? First of all, creating something which was very new to India. So right from training the teachers, hiring the right kind of teachers, then training them, creating the systems, creating the processes around it, right? Because doing one school is easy, but the minute you start thinking of how do we franchise it, and with all the limitations that we had, I think we sort of started adding the right team members, the right and experienced people from the industry, from varied backgrounds. So from the tech industry, because I was from the tech industry, getting people from the advertising world so that we can reach out to people and communicate more efficiently. And of course, the people who were delivering the service, the right teachers. So first few years, actually, we spent doing this without franchising.
Okay.
It's only after the lockdown that we've really started franchising and we've really got onto a mode where we feel that we are ready now and we can expand more rapidly.
So Indian operations prima facie started from scratch and completely your baby, completely your.
Uh, yes, I can put it that way, India Ops. See, because the sort of infrastructure, the sort of support system for a franchise-based business or a franchise-based activity in US is tremendous. I mean, their laws are very much defined for both franchisor and franchisee. Um, you know, everything is more structured. In India, we have to sort of build everything from scratch, right? From the what tech will go into talking to the parents, what sort of systems do we have where we would train teachers? So building LMSs, um, parent communication apps. So all these things, of course, needed time, and we had to build it from scratch. Yeah, if we can put it that way.
So coming to our next question, which is very valid, how did Team Safari Kid happen, and which is primarily female entrepreneurs? So let us know who are they and how do these kind of people get associated with us?
As I said, we just started franchising more aggressively in the last 1.5, 2 years. Uh, Most of the people who want to start their own school are women, right? And they are young mothers,
Okay.
exactly facing the same problem that I was facing about 10 years ago, right? That as a couple, they feel that they are expecting a little bit more with a preschool and they don't find that in their neighborhood. That's how they approach us. But again, they are from varied backgrounds. I have people from if I get them from service industry, it's great. But I have young mothers who've done their MBA, spent some stint with family business, and after they got married, they sort of took a back seat. But the minute they had their first child, and they realized that, what, I need to get back to work. How do I give the best to my child as well as how do I give the best to the society, right? And the community around them. And that's the typical sort of mom who approach us that how can I make a difference to my own child in terms of education and the community that I live in. So mostly business families.
Okay.
Also women from tech background, sometimes, high paying jobs, sometimes high management jobs who feel that, they all come thinking it's going to be easy, to be very frank. They feel that, running a preschool would be much easier, but it has its own challenges. And very quickly, within the first few months, they realize that it's tough, but extremely fulfilling, right? So when you finish a hard day at a preschool, you're not tired. You're happy that you did whatever you did and you're going to make a difference to the children who are in your school.
Yeah, right. So how do you incubate them and how do you make their franchising journey pretty easy?
As I said, over the last few years, we've created a structure whereby all edupreneur female has to do, women have to do is they have to just approach us, right? If they are really passionate about making a difference, right from sourcing the property,
Okay.
building it, hiring teachers, training them, creating the marketing structure for them, making the school known in the community, getting the right sort of enrollments, breaking even, and earning some profit. It's all taken care by us. We train them every step of the way. So there's no point in their entrepreneurial journey where they feel that they've signed up and they don't know how to move forward, right? So we help them every step of the way.
So a proper induction, a business model, a structure, a process induction to be done with them, along with the curriculum, everything step by step is basically mentored by you guys, and then they get on board and successfully then run it.
See, let's put it this way, right? I generally tell this to my franchisees, right? That what is our job? Our job is to make them successful, right? And if they are successful, then we are successful,
Correct.
right? If they are not successful, then there is no Safari Kid, there is no preschool. So we are very clear that if every franchisee of Safari Kid is successful, then we are a great brand. So, and as I said, most of the women who get into this, they are new to the industry. They have a lot of ideas, but and we also encourage those ideas. But we have a set structure and a formula of success, right? Which practically guarantees them that if you follow all the SOPs that we've laid out, you will be successful, right? So yeah, we handhold them until and unless they don't tell us that, you know what, I've got it now, and you guys don't have to bother about us anymore.
We are sailing now.
Yeah, we are sailing
Thanks
now.
for the help.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, that's wonderful.
yeah.
So now let's move to the team corporate Safari Kid.
Yeah.
How do you cultivate leadership? How do you maneuver around the talent? How do you see to it that, the ethos and the culture is inculcated well?
See, I think the biggest reason for success of Safari Kid is that I've been blessed with a great team. Safari Kid wouldn't have been successful if the sort of people who joined hands with me 10 years back, and they've supported me and entire Safari Kid journey. If they were not there, I don't think so we would have been that. And these are all passionate individuals. And we were very clear from day one that we are going to create a culture that we would be happy associating with, right? So I think most people don't leave their jobs. They leave their managers. They leave their bosses.
So right.
And we were extremely clear about this, that, we've come into a space, and if you're going to create it into I don't want to use corporate in a bad way, but, a very strict corporate
Right.
structure, then I think, those guys wouldn't have left their corporate jobs and joined us, right? So the whole idea is we've created a fun environment, right? Because we're dealing with children. Our energies have to be at a certain level, right? At a certain positivity. And if we have happy managers of school, then we have happy teachers and we have happy nannies, right? And all the support staff. And happiness flows top to bottom, right?
Right.
So if the top boss is not happy or is angry or doing something which is going to get the energy down,
Right.
then that energy will sort of pass on.
Percolate everywhere. Yeah.
It'll pass on to the kids as well. So we see to it that the culture is set up in such a way that they don't feel that it's a chore coming to office, right?
Yes.
They feel like I'm responsible for this center. I'm responsible for the happiness of my team and the children who come away. And of course, parents, right? Parents can read energy when they enter a school much quicker than anyone else, right? So yeah, I mean, we are trying, and so far we've been successful. So fingers crossed, maybe, we'll continue doing this.
Very rightly mentioned that a team is an asset. And if you get up in the morning and you feel very motivated to go to where you're going at work, everything that happens is with full power, with full zeal. And yes, you are not working, then you're contributing and you're enjoying it.
Absolutely. Right? I love the way you put it. Everybody is contributing.
Yeah. What about the quality standards and how do you prioritize it, especially when the preschool networks are now growing, and I believe they're rapidly growing? You just mentioned 11 places you guys are there.
It wasn't like 1.5 years, 2 years back we decided let's grow rapidly. We had created the systems. We had created the sort of entire backup and infra in such a way that with our systems and processes, that when we thought and post lockdown, we thought, we are ready. Lockdown was extremely hard on the preschool sector. Yeah. It was the only sector which parents had abandoned, thinking that, it's fine, child can stay at home. But
and such a difficult age group, which is a bundle of energy, and you have to confine it where they're growing, in four walls. It's so difficult. How did you handle that?
So it was very difficult. Lockdown was very difficult. As I said, parents sort of gave up on preschool. For K-12 or full schools, you can't just revoke admission, right? You have to stay in the school. You have to be part of the system. But for preschool, parents just didn't enroll. And when the lockdown was lifted and children started coming back to preschool, all the children who hadn't been to a preschool, we saw a lot of problems in there.
Okay.
They had issues with people around. They used to get scared. They used to avoid eye contact. So a lot of your foundation growing years are extremely important, and we saw that those difficulties in children. But the best part is not only us, even the parents realized, right? And that's what I said. Most of our franchisees are parents. And
Right.
that's when they realized that, what, something went wrong during the lockdown years.
Yes.
And that's why we have more and more people who want to get associated with this sector. They know the importance because they've sort of experienced, I had a bad experience while my daughter was growing
Yeah,
up,
you
and that's what brought me. And I think all these parents who've had a bad experience with their own families during the lockdown period, like, I'm not saying bad as in difficult, they've seen the challenges, and they in turn want to give it back to the society that what we face, no other child should.
And they realize the importance, the magnitude of
Yes,
it. Yeah.
and they've realized the importance.
Right.
So we are growing rapidly, and we have a lot of schools which are under construction. So hopefully we'll reach our targets, whatever we set this year.
Wonderful. In fact, we did some research, some homework from our end, and the parents are really going gaga about the US-based global curriculum. Can you explain us the USP of Safari Kid?
See, this is a very interesting question, and I don't have a straight answer for this. When I say straight answer, there's no bullet point 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Because how do you build a world-class institute? How do you build a world-class preschool? It can't be like people talk about infrastructure. Some people talk about the global curriculum. But these are just bullet points, right? Right from how the security guard at the door smiles at you and how he welcomes you, to how my PRMs talk to you or the center heads talk to you, the nannies or support staff, the way they deal with your children. So there's not a single USP, if I can just say that, a single or 2, 3. It's everything that we do. Our focus is on parent delight. That every parent who comes to the school has to be delighted, because how do we measure that? Every time we open a new school, we keep this open house where we invite parents from the neighborhood to come and check out our school. 100% of the child who comes to our school for the first time doesn't want to go home.
Oh, wow.
Right? They all cry while their parents are trying to tell them, okay, we've
And this
taken the
happens
tour.
in the open house itself.
Every new school that we start, we see children crying because they don't want to go home. They love the space, right? So that's what I was talking about: the culture, the space, the way our teachers are, the way our support staff is. So there's not a single USP. Yeah, curriculum. India is very education centric or curriculum centric society. Yeah. So parents do appreciate that. Apart from all these things, the way the curriculum is set up, it's not like a single philosophy. It's an eclectic philosophy. So when I say eclectic philosophy, it's a mixture of the top Western classical philosophies like your Reggio Emilia, Montessori, Waldorf, and it's also mixed with some of Indian or Eastern practices, right? Where we put a lot of emphasis on memorizing and doing mental math. So no, so what I'm saying is children are not mugging up. So it's a mix. It's a perfect mix of activities or stuff which children are doing whereby they are using the creative side, and also we are helping them to sharpen their minds, make their memories much more, because ultimately we don't have a choice where the child is going to go. It's the parents' choice. Some parents want to put them in CBSE, some of them want to do IB. We are perfectly aligned with IB. We are perfectly aligned with IGCSE, but finally it's parents' choice. We've had children who've gone to CBSE where the focus is on memory skills, right?
Okay.
And children have coped up in both sort of philosophies, right? Because we only cater till kindergarten, and after that we have to educate the child, or we have to create the foundation in such a way that child can easily adapt to whatever
new system that they're moving on.
System that they're gonna
Right,
good.
right. Which is where we highlighted the point that these millennial parents do their research, try to find what different types of systems are, and pretty much quite a few of them ended up saying that such a traditional setup of it. So early days, let me send my child to a curriculum which they have identified. And you very rightly mentioned the kind of different exercises, the kind of different methods of memorizing and all, which are so different to the normal mugging that they do. And this is going to be a stepping stone and a very important milestone for a child. So, very rightly put. Okay, coming to our next question. The future of early childhood education is evolving. So, how do you see the future of early childhood education evolving, and what would be the opportunities for Safari Kid here?
Early childhood space is growing by at least 15 to 18% CAGR year on year. And and that's the sort of prediction in public domain till about 2032, right? And that's market pretty much growing pretty rapidly. So a lot of opportunities not only for schools like us, which are slightly on the expensive side, but also education preschool sector in general, because Indian population is growing about 1% every year, and with a population of 1.4 billion, there are a lot of children being born in this country and across different geographies, across different demographics, right? So a lot of opportunity in the preschool sector itself. I think with the new NEP, what the government has brought in, and where they've given a lot of emphasis on foundation years, they've clubbed the foundation years from nursery to grade 2, right?
Okay.
So again, in terms of just the size of what a preschool or a foundation school will give, that has expanded as well.
So, it is nursery to grade 2, which falls under this.
Under foundation years, right? And that's what the new NEP says, and people are still working on it, how to sort of combine it. I think there's a great opportunity, a huge opportunity, not only for us, but anybody who's passionate about changing foundation years. I think super
The
opportunity.
number that you mentioned, I think it's a big number and a massive chunk. Anybody who feels to get into, business and entrepreneurship, and that too in the most positive way of giving back, then yes, this is the space.
And see, the number of children that go to preschool is not that high. Let me put it that way. It's less than 50%.
Okay.
And every year, more and more parents are realizing, and this is across demographics, right? Where parents feel it's okay, my child can start a little late. It's when we talk about preschool, it's a very small minority educated parents who understand the value of foundation years. They are sort of starting early, but there's still a huge population who feels it's okay, child can start even at 6 years, and foundation years is not that important.
How does that trouble? Because you very rightly mentioned the way we've been discussing that it's very imperative for a child in the early days until the child becomes 6 years, 7 years, and 8 years is when this kind of an education is required. So, how do you feel that would it be still possible for parents to still not send, or it's really impacting their education?
See, again, there's enough data, and don't have to believe whatever I say. People can Google it themselves.
Yeah.
That every dollar that a country spends on early years, it comes back at least 10 folds back into the economy. Right? There's enough data which says that a child who's had great foundation years, they will have very easy time. They'll love doing higher education, because creating that love for education at a young age, and that's something that we are striving hard to bring in our curriculum, right? And I think we have sort of successfully blended into our curriculum when we design our spaces, that every child who comes to the school shouldn't feel that they're coming to study. They should feel that they are coming here to play, and all education happens through play at this age, right? And the more children go to preschool, the more likely they are that they are not going to drop out in high school.
Okay. Okay, in that manner. What would be the advice you would be giving to the aspiring entrepreneurs?
When people approach us and they say that I want to start my own school, and how can Safari Kid help us? The first thing I sort of ask them, that why do you want to start the school? If it's about, we've read that early years of preschool, the ROI is much better, or it's easy. So I always tell them, if you're not passionate about what you're going to do, if you're not here to make a difference to each and every child that is enrolled with you, don't do this, because you can probably make more money in stock exchange or QSR chain, right? Start your own restaurant chain. This is a very hard sector. Hard not from any other perspective, but hard as in there's a lot of emotional investment that you have to do. And if you're not ready to do that emotional investment, monetary investment, as I said, there are a lot of brands, there are a lot of chains. You can start investing right from 10 lakh, you can start a school going up in crores, right? So money is something that, depending upon where you are in your life, you can bring forth that money. What people fail to bring is the emotional connect, right? Or the emotional investment. And if you're ready to give the sort of passion, emotion, and the belief that I'm really going to change the way this sector is, then come into the sector. If you're only worried about ROI,
Numbers and
then just stay away.
then stay away. Yes, yes. Because this is a great responsibility. So it's necessary that that burning desire is there.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not, because as we discussed that this is foundation years.
Yeah.
If you're gonna spoil, or if you're not gonna pay attention at foundation years, you're setting up the child to fail. But if you're passionate, if you truly believe that I'm here to create a great foundation for the child, and again, it's just 3-4 years, right? But those 3-4 years are gonna be the most important years of that child's life. So if you can do that, most welcome. Call us. We will help you in setting up the school. But if you can't bring that, I mean, then just stay away from the industry.
Right. Qualitative profitability, not quantitative.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. Tell us something about your ambitious mission of 50.
See, Mission 50 actually started as a joke, right? I'm gonna turn 50 in a few years,
Okay.
and some of my old team members who've been working with me for last 10 years, they were like, "What do you want on your 50th birthday?" And I said, "Can we do 50 schools?" And they said, "Okay, let's make it Mission 50, right?" So the idea is that we are attracting the right sort of people. I think by this year end, will be 20 plus schools, as I said earlier. We want to do about 10 schools, 10 to 12 schools in every year going
Wonderful.
forward. And I think we'll be there, Mission 50. As you rightly pointed it out, it's not quantity. We want to do quality schools. So 10, 12 might sound like a very small number for people who are used to doing 30, 40 schools in a year. But we are extremely clear about how we want to do our school, what are the people we want to tap with, the sort of parents that we are serving, the sort of children that we are helping. So yeah, it's a conservative number. It's not very aggressive, considering all the other chains and what they've achieved. But if we do that, I think we will consider ourselves as a big chain then.
Extremely impressed by your mission of 50. And Mr. Carson, your team has been so methodical in this particular journey. It's like, it looks like this is not impossible. This is going to happen for sure. And all the very best for that.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. So now we're coming to a very light-hearted round. It's called rapid fire.
Okay.
I'm going to throw you.
Am I going to get a hamper or something at the end of this?
Yeah, the hamper is going to be a lot of love from our viewers and our audience. And yes, you would too.
Awesome.
So our first question. Are you ready for it?
Sure.
Okay. If you could go back and give yourself one piece of advice to the young Mr. Carson when you started your entrepreneurial journey, what would it be?
It's going to be tough, but you're going to develop the skin to go through it, right? I think sometimes when the going gets tough, we have a moment of self-doubt, but eventually everything works out. So yeah, I mean, I would just go and tell, it's going to work out. Don't worry. Hang on.
Hang on. Right. Your role model, a person you look up to?
Definitely my mom and dad, right? They come from a very, very humble beginning, right? The sort of sacrifices they've done to give us whatever they could, the struggles they've gone through. I think I have not even faced 50% of their struggle. So, I mean, I always put myself in their shoes and I tell myself, if they could do it with so little means, then surely they've given me so much. I can't be thinking that I can't do it or, it's difficult. So they are my role models.
Oh, so
Love you,
lovely.
mom and dad.
So lovely. Outside of work, what are your hobbies and activities that keeps you recharged?
So my friends call me little AD, hyperactive, you know, uh, I don't look hyperactive, but I keep jumping from one hobby to the other.
Okay.
I love to write. I I'm a failed musician, so started in college with music. I love to ride my bikes. So whenever I get a little free time, I'm going up some hill or some beach on my motorcycle. So those are the things that keep me alive and going.
Pumped up with a
Yeah,
lot of
totally.
energy.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice. So there are three B's when it comes to Jitendra Karsan and Mr. Karsan: books, bike, business.
Yeah.
Tell us something.
I recommend reading to everybody. I meet people who say, oh, we don't read, we don't find reading interesting. I recommend books to everybody. I read about minimum 12 books a year, going up to 24 books a year, right? So 2 books in a month is something that I do
That's
like,
quite a target, especially with this kind of a busy business that you're handling.
yeah, so you have to give up on something. I don't go to the gym, so I save about 2 hours there. So spend those 2 hours reading, right? I mean, books, yeah, I mean, it takes you to a different world. So I read all kinds of books. I read fiction, I read philosophy, I read business books, right? And I generally read 2 books at a time. So one would be for fun and one would be just academic. And that's how I enjoy my books. Bikes, I don't ride it as much as I used to ride. So I do a couple of Lonavala or Mathiran rides. That's about it, right? I mean, I can't really disappear now for 10, 12 days on the bike.
But you used to,
Maybe
right?
I used to,
Yeah.
but I can't do it anymore. Hopefully, once I'm done with Mission 50, I'm going to gift myself that
That's gonna
and
be,
disappear for 20 days somewhere on the bike.
that would be wonderful
Yeah.
gratitude. How about business?
As I said, I don't treat this as business. We feel that we are blessed to be in a sector like this, right? High profitability is something that is not the goal of Safari Kit. The goal of Safari Kit is how do we touch upon the lives of every child and every parent that who enrolls with us. There's enough money. I don't know what is enough. Some people say 100% ROI and 200% ROI, and we don't believe in all that. Right? We believe that things should make economic sense, and so far, I think it makes a lot of economic sense to whoever's sort of join hands with us.
Okay. And to the most important question, what legacy do you hope to leave through your contributions to early childhood education in India?
Very difficult question because I think I'm a very, very minuscule player in the whole industry. There are a lot of people who've been working hard for many, many, many years, and they've done tremendous job in basically bringing up the entire sector. So if I'm remembered with one of those guys, right, I'll be more than happy that if somebody considers me along with those people. I don't think so. So far, I have not done anything whereby I feel that I'll leave some sort of a legacy in the industry.
Oh, you're being very humble enough.
I know I'm being very frank. It's a huge sector. India is very, very big. There are a lot of people working in the sector, a lot of people working with the underprivileged, a lot of people working with the BPL, right?
Yeah.
Children and a lot of, you can't name the number of people who are doing this to make a difference to every child. So just your name being said along with these guys, I think that would be achievement enough for me.
Oh, that's so wonderful. So, Mr. Carson, it was a wonderful episode with you. We really appreciate that you are building the future of India, coming from the advertising background and understanding the need and the gap that Indian education sector had. And you decided that this kind of a niche should be catered to. Thank you so much from the Buck Studio. It was very engaging conversation with you.
No, thank you very much for calling me. In fact, it was a pleasure, um, talking about our journey, talking about what we are trying to do. So thank you very much for indulging.
Thank you, viewers. If you have some more comments, some questions for Mr. Carson, then do sure, comment, subscribe, and like us. See you in the next episode. Bye bye. Subscribe to our channel to enjoy more such business podcasts and stories. Hit that like button and leave a comment to show some love.